This is about to be one of the most intense 48 hours of my life because I have to shoot a World Cup themed commercial for a long-term client. We're about like 15 minutes behind and they needed this video like yesterday. But because it's so short notice, I'm basically shooting this whole thing by myself. I was just barely able to organize actors by pulling in favors, and now I'm on my way to get some costume. Right, so while future Ricardo is driving into the sunset, let me talk to you about pre-production. Now, when it comes to pre-production, it is a complex beast. There's so many different things that are happening, and all of them are super important to make sure that we get the best product ever. However, with this being such a short turnaround, a lot of that thing gets scrapped. Because this is a World Cup commercial, and I've been thinking about a World Cup commercial because it's coming up, I had a lot of the pre-production stuff already done. So I already had a sort of a rough storyboard. I already thought about a location that I could shoot in if I was gonna be doing this as a spec project, and I needed to keep the budget as low as possible. And this whole pre-production process works in 3 ways. One is I use my Remarkable here, and I just basically jot down my thoughts, and I get very hands-on, physically writing notes, drawing little stick figures. Then I have Milanote. Now Milanote is where I organize all of these visual things, all of these elements into one cohesive project workspace. And I find that it's the best sort of way to organize visual projects, having the storyboard, having location pictures in the most organized and efficient way. And then I have the final thing, which is Notion. And this is where I do the organization of tasks, the calendar bookings, everything that needs to be administrative goes there. And I find that this combo allows me to organize my projects as efficiently as possible. Now let's go back to future Ricardo as he looks for costume, and hopefully he's finding it. Goodbye. All right, so the costumes are secured, just 2 t-shirts, but they look great. I also got myself a Powerade. But now we have to head home because I've got to get my whole apartment ready so that we can actually shoot in my living room, and I've got to remodel the whole area. So now I'm going to be using the locations that I have available to me, and that is my living room. The problem is, if you look here, the current layout of my living room is the following. This is where my couch is and where the TV is. However, I have windows there, which means that we're going to be backlit the whole time because we're going to be shooting during daytime, which is a problem because I don't have the lights to balance out that exposure. All right, so to avoid the windows being a backlight, we have to move all of this into that corner. This means that the window won't be a backlight, but will rather be a far side key. Now, there's 2 specific benefits. 1, my lighting is gonna be motivated, which is gonna be great. We always like motivating light. And then 2, because the weather outside right now is very cloudy and diffused, which is great because I've already got a nice light coming through. And then all I have to do is enhance that using my F22C or a few lights here and there, which is going to cut down on setup times, which is amazing because, again, shooting by myself. Now there is one major con to this. The space is very limited, which means I can't get as much distance away from everything to give as much depth, which is a sacrifice that I'm gonna have to be making for the setup. Okay, so we've just cleared out this empty space now. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create an L-shaped over here. We're gonna put the TV around there. Now, besides creating a fake living room, we also still have to decorate the kitchen, and then we still have to also rig up the lights and get everything set up so that we can actually start shooting. Now, the kicker is, I have an hour and a half before the first cast member gets here, and then one of the cast members has to leave an hour and a half after that. So we have 3 hours to wrap up a lot of the main stuff that involves the big crowd work and that specific cast member. So we're in a bit of a time crunch. So, all right, we have just finished creating the living room set. We're still dialing in the kitchen set, but we have about 30 minutes. I still haven't lit anything, so I'm gonna start dialing in the main lighting stuff that we need to get done first. I'm currently thinking if I should swing the boom arm that way instead of here where I'm going to be shooting. And I'm thinking that is actually a better plan, because that way I don't run the risk of this being in the frame and I'm already behind the camera, and I can use the boom arm to swing it so that I'm still getting the exact same angle, which is from here that I want, without having any issue. Is it code a bear, the bear, the bear, bear, code a bear inside? I love this part of the job, reading lights. I absolutely love it. It's my favorite part. All right, so we've just placed the lights. We haven't dialed them in, but the first people are here, and we're about like 15 minutes behind. It's a wrap! Okay, so it's around 6:34 right now. I am trying to go to bed today, so I'm not going to be doing a full all-nighter to try and wrap this up. I actually think I can get it done
even if I go to bed. I'm gonna stop yapping and I'm gonna start cracking. Bye-bye. Good morning. How is everyone doing today? Hope you all have a good fresh cup of coffee. It is currently like 9:44 in the morning, and I have gotten quite a bit of the edit done. While I was editing, I did realize I made a very bad mistake. Due to the stress of the person leaving, the stress of trying to wrap up the shoot and still be able to edit, I missed a shot. Yeah, sucks. But luckily for us, pickups are a part of the game. So I'm gonna do a pickup shot today of just the Flammkuchen leaving the oven, which will then allow me to actually connect to the end of the scene. Shouldn't be too long, should only take me about 15 minutes, but sucks that I have to do it. Now, aside from that, I do have another stress. Aside from getting the pickup shot, finishing the edit, doing all those things, I'm also gonna be getting in a car, driving for 45 minutes, getting on a plane, flying, and having to edit. So yeah, most intense 48 hours of my life, like I said. Send prayers in the comments. All right, we have made it off the plane. I'm now in the parking lot. I'm heading towards the bus that I'm going to be taking to get home. And editing on the plane sucks on Ryanair because there's no space. I was like super cramped up. But I did manage to get majority of it done. I'm now 98%, 95% finished. All I got to do is add the stock footage that I've got to buy and then final little sound mixing and design. But I'm going to do that on the bus. And so far, so good. I'm going to make that 48-hour deadline. It is 1:27 in the morning. We finally exported the video. Now I am a little bit annoyed. I've just missed the 48-hour mark. It's like 49 hours and 45 minutes or something like that. But there's nothing I could do, but it's finished now. I'm still happy that I managed to pull this off in about 50 hours. I'm gonna show you the final video, but before I do, I just wanna let you know that I am gonna be tearing it to shreds right after you see it. Be sure to stick around. Till then, here's the video.
Straight ahead, carries on with the ball, dribbles past the last man.
Now, when I say I'm gonna be tearing this thing to shreds, I mean I'm literally gonna be tearing this to shreds. This is not gonna be me talking about all the things that I really like and what worked well and how amazing it was. No, I personally find that I get a lot more value from watching videos like this when people are talking about their shortcomings and dissecting what they could have done better, what went wrong. Now, at this point in time, you might have realized that our actors are all wearing German shirts, but the commentary is happening in English. And right off the bat, this is one of the places that I would instantly improve on, because having the ability to do pre-production would have saved us from having this be an issue, because we would have been able to either A, find a voiceover artist who can do football commentary in German. 2, we would have been able to research what typical German football commentary sounds like, because we all know the iconic British football voice. So what is the iconic German voice? And if we weren't able to do those 2 options, we would have had at least enough time at the last resort to try an AI voiceover generator, which, by the way, I'm not a huge fan of, but in the last pinch moment, it does come in clutch. And so we resorted to English football commentary, which does the job and works. That being said, while we're on the why, there is another area of improvement, and it comes down to the set design, specifically how I placed practicals, but also how much space I gave between the different layers on the set. And option 1 was naturally more compact. However, I definitely feel like I could have pushed it a little bit more, really rode those fine margins, which I didn't. The second thing is the practicals. Now, this practical here in the corner, it's on, but you can't tell that it's on because the sunlight is just blasting into it, which means that a little bit of dimension and depth that creates is being wasted on us. And it just kind of looks like a weird lampshade that's hanging there because, again, it's too close to the subject. The second thing is we actually had another practical lamp here. I wish I had brought that light in, which would have helped A, not only make this boring dark corner a little bit more lively, given it a little bit more depth, but also it would have hit the actors a little bit more, creating a little bit more separation, and would have just made this whole frame look a little bit nicer. Now, there's a few other little nitpicky things here in terms of set design that I would have done. I wish we had cleaned up this little corner here. I wish we had jujued up that little bookshelf. I wish I brought up those fairy lights up a little bit more so that we have a bit more depth, but we didn't end up having the time to do that, and so we ended up with this. Now, when it comes to these close-ups of them eating food, I don't think they're bad close-ups, but I also don't think they're great close-ups. And the reason why they're not great close-ups comes down to the lighting. The lighting is inconsistent between all the close-ups, and that comes down to me just trying to rush through the shots. I wasn't moving the lights and shaping the lights to best enhance that shot. I placed it in a way that worked across the board and gave me good images, but not great images. Now, this idea is very clearly seen here, where the guy in the back is way better lit than the guy in in the front, and she kind of is in the middle. And it's because the light is hitting him more. The fall off is catching her better than it's catching him. So he's actually being lit more by the window rather than the main light. All of those things would have been easily fixed by just moving the lights and shaping it for that specific close-up. Finally, we have this last shot. Now, this is probably the only shot that I would cut, and the reason why is I had an original shot that I wanted to end the commercial on that we didn't manage to get because one of the actors left. So this is what I ended up having to do. Now, besides not being the exact shot I want, there's a few areas here of improvement. For one, I think we could have swung the light further out so that it's not as backlighty, but would be a bit more side lighty. Those are professional terms, but it would have just helped give a little bit more separation. Second of all, I wish we had decorated this white wall, which would have added more visual interest instead of just a white wall and a TV with a lamp tucked into the corner again. And then the green screen isn't the best green screen. It's not the worst green screen, but you can tell it's a little bit of a green screen if you stare at it long enough. And that comes down to just having more time to do VFX. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not a VFX person, so I'm pretty freaking happy with that. Like, I'm stoked. Anyway, if you're stoked about this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, you know, do all that funky, funny stuff, and I will see you on the next one. Till then, I love your faces. Goodbye.